104.5 The Zone, broadcasting live from Phoenix on Radio Row. Thanks to our friends at Mitsubishi Electric. And we got a legend at the table. Brent Doherty, Don Davenport, Ron Slay. We're not that. Jim McMahon is at the table. What's up, Jim? How are you,
I'm
man?
just signing your table right now.
Autograph the table, brother.
How we doing?
Doing good, bro.
We are good. How are you? It's good to see you.
Hey, good to be out. Good to be seen. Good to be here at another Super Bowl event. And we've got our Revenant Cannabis Company. We got a big outing coming up on Friday, a big golf outing at Anthem Country Club here in the city. So looking forward to that, the first open cannabis use golf event associated with the Super Bowl. So it's kind of cool.
That is going to be outrageous, I'm guessing.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Without question.
If you don't have directions, follow the cloud. You'll find us.
Jim McMahon with us. I tell this story on the radio all the time. As sports fans, we have different teams that we kind of romanticize, and for a lot of people, it's that '85 Bears group. But that mid '80s Bears team, man, how special was that group of guys?
We had a hell of a football team. We started gelling really towards the end of '83.
Yeah.
Started figuring out, hey, we're pretty good. And the 84 season, I mean, we went to the NFC Championship game that year. We had a good chance. I got hurt, I think week 9 or 10 against the Raiders. Tore bottom third of my kidney off, so I missed the rest of that season. But we knew in '85 that it was a Super Bowl or bust for us.
I forgot about that. How did you get hurt?
I got sandwiched between two guys, and I got hit from this side first. So what happened? The doc says, when I got hit this way, the kidney kind of came around the ribs and was exposed, and then the other guy hit me at the same time, and just it hit the ribs and just sliced the bottom of it off. But you never want them to know you're hurt, right? So I got up and went. I tried to say first down, but nothing came out.
Did they have a hit out on you or something?
No, it was just one of those games. We put out two of their quarterbacks, and they got me. But it was a brutal. They had just won the Super Bowl the year before. They were pretty damn good, and but that was probably one of the most brutal football games that I've ever been around.
You guys had such an unbelievable defense. Did you ever go ones against ones in practice?
Every day in practice.
My goodness, because nobody does that anymore.
No, we had pads on every day. Training camp twice a day, 6 weeks. Every day was live for us. We had no buddy periods. Mike Dick and Buddy Ryan didn't get along, so.
Did Buddy Ryan get along with anybody?
Not really. So we look forward to Sundays because Sundays was kind of a day off for us.
Oh, my gosh, that's amazing.
That's hilarious. Well, for those that don't remember, that 85 team, the only loss was at Miami. And then you go to the playoffs, and it's – correct me if I'm wrong, shutout, and then –
Should have been another shutout. But, no, they were a special group of guys. And plus the defense was a new defense at the time. People were having a hard time trying to figure it out. Joe Gibbs finally did.
46.
He beat us in 86 and 87 at home in the playoffs. So he figured you just block up 8 guys, run 2-man routes, you can beat us. And that's what he did.
How pissed were y'all that you lost that Miami game? Like, how important was the undefeated regular season?
Well, it would have been nice to be undefeated, but I didn't get to play that night. That's one thing that, kind of upset me. I had missed the Wednesday. I think it was a Wednesday practice. I had sprained my ankle the Sunday before, so I missed a Wednesday practice. Practice Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We get to Miami on Sunday night. We go through the walkthrough on Sunday night, and I'm still in the huddle. And then after practice, he said, "You're not playing tomorrow night."
Wow.
I said, "What? Why?" And he said, "Well, you missed Wednesday." I'm like, "Okay." We were 12-0, I think, at that point. So we're already in the playoffs. We have home field advantage. So he just said, "I got a free night in Miami." I said, "What the hell?
What did you do?
I had fun.
You leave it at that?
So during the game, I just remember, earlier in the season, it was a Thursday night game, and we're playing the Vikings. And I was in his ear because he told me I wasn't going to play that game either. And I kept getting in his face going, "Hey, you better let me play. We're going to lose. We're going to lose." And I'm convinced to this day the only reason he put me in that game to get him out of his face. But this was a totally different situation in Miami. We're already in the playoffs. The game doesn't mean anything. And so Walter Payton was going for a record 100-yard game in a row. I can't remember what it was. So I wanted to make sure Walter got his yards. Right? He deserved a record. So I was just kind of trying to keep track in my head what he was doing. He could have ran for 300 that night. They had the worst rush defense in the league that year. But we got down early, and Mike panicked and started. We weren't a throwing football team. We ran the ball.
Yeah.
And so he finally decides to put me in the game. I think it was about 6 minutes to go. And we're down 14 points. He gives me a pass play. And at this point, I'm thinking Walter's got about 75, 80 yards. I think he needs about 20. So I got in the huddle. I said, boys, he's going to be a little upset, but we're going to get this man the record he deserves. And they all said, I'm right, let's do it. So as I was coming up the line of scrimmage, I looked over. He knew I didn't call the pass play.
You're in a different formation?
Oh, yeah. And he's MFing me. And at this point in the game, they're dropping 8 guys and rushing 3, right? So Walter busts up there for about 15 yards. I didn't realize we had another timeout. He burns the timeout. And I'm like, oh, God, I got to go talk to him. And so he's MFing me up and down the sidelines. I'm going, Mike, hey. We got nothing in our pass game that gets us that many yards. I said, now Walter only needs probably 5 or 10 for his record. He had no clue what I was talking about because he was so pissed at me.
Wow.
But it finally snapped in his, oh, yeah, we're going to get him his record. But first we're going to do this. He gives me another pass. So I get in the huddle, I go, boys, it's really going to hit the fan now.
This man right here.
But we are going to run this thing again. And they're going, yeah. So as I'm walking up to the line, I look over again. He knows I didn't call the pass. He throws his clipboard. He went to throw his headset, but it stuck to his – all I remember was this headset bouncing off his chest as I'm getting the snap. And I'm kind of laughing. I give it back to Walter. He busts up there for another 10 or 12. And I said, all right, now let's try to win a game. But that game, to me, it didn't matter. Like I said, we're in the playoffs. Let's get the man the record he deserved.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Yeah,
I would have liked to see Miami in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to redo that loss, but they didn't beat New England. So
Jim McMahon with us on 3HL. I tell my kids all the kids are all into the YouTube stuff, so they actually have a pretty good working knowledge of the history of the sports that they like.
Yeah.
So they enjoy watching Walter Payton. And I always told them that man never willingly ran out of bounds.
No, he was. I remember my rookie year. He'd make 30-yard runs and only gain 2. I mean, he'd go from sideline to sideline, bouncing off guys. And I'm trying to make blocks. I mean, now where are you going? He just did not like to be tackled. He was the strongest guy I still have ever met in my life. He was probably about 5'10", 210 pounds maybe, but just so strong. I mean, he worked his butt off.
Jim McMahon with us on 3HL. You mentioned the Super Bowl. Obviously, it's a tough situation for a lot of Bears fans and people that loved that team that Walter didn't get in the end zone that night. Were you guys upset about that? Like, what was that situation like?
At the time, it never crossed my mind that he hadn't scored. But people forget New England's focus that whole week was we stop Walter Payton, we win. And they did a pretty good job of that. He carried the ball, I think, 25, 27 times in the game. I think he could have carried 100. I don't think he could have got it in because the focus that they had on him. I tell people, watch the first play of the second half when we got the ball, I think on our 4-yard line. We run a play-action pass. Wasn't even a good fake. And there's 6 guys chasing Walter.
Yeah.
And Willie's running up the middle of the field.
Yeah.
I throw in another yard, he might have went 96 for a touchdown.
Right.
That's the kind of effect he had on that whole game. Even though he didn't score, he was a big part of everybody else's success. And to me, it didn't matter why. I would have rather have thrown 2 or 3 touchdowns than run the 2 that I got in.
Yeah.
What mattered to me is we won the game, right? And whether or not he scored, I don't think that. I know. I talked to his son today, and he was very, very upset about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he never said a word to me about it, and I played with him 2 more years.
Yeah. Fridge got in.
Fridge got in. Well, I'm sure Dickie had a bet on that one. So
we actually have talked about this.
Yeah,
today.
we were talking to Trey Wingo with Caesar Sportsbook, and there is a Fridge prop bet, a defensive player scoring an offensive touchdown. What was that play call? Like, what was the name of that play? Do you remember?
Oh God, it was some kind of a.
And did you know
he was
going to
get an option or kind of an option? I can't even remember what the play was called. But
did you know he was going to get in like pre-snap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even if it could have been 2 or 3 guys in the hole, he was going to get in. I mean,
Big old boy.
it's hard to tackle a guy that big and round. I mean, he was basically a beach ball coming at you pretty fast, right?
Yeah.
He was very, very quick for the first 5 yards. I mean, after that, he'd be tired as hell, but he was quick as hell for the first 5.
Isn't that crazy? Like in the NFL,
and the sound that it made when he hit people. It was, he hit, I think it was George Cumby on a Monday night in Chicago against the Packers. He hit him on about the 2, and he landed about 5 yards deep in the end zone. But the sound that it made, and you hear him go, ugh. That's pretty cool stuff.
Somebody unplugged the freeze.
So Dave McGinnis is at our radio station, works with Titans Radio, and obviously a part of that defensive staff after the 85 season. Do you have any Dave McGinnis stories for us?
I remember Dave. Yeah, he was a good coach.
Yeah.
People forget about how good we were in '86. You know, Buddy had left, and statistically, our defense was better in '86 than they were in '85. We were 14-2 in '86. Everybody thinks we fell off the map. Hell, we had home field advantage the next 4 years in the playoffs and didn't do anything with it. But we had a special group of guys, and they still talk about them.
You own that town, though, that team. I mean, just own that town. Like, how much fun was it to live in Chicago in that era and be a part of that group?
Yeah, Chicago's a great sports town to begin with, but they're a big bear town. MJ came in '84 and they won 6 titles. It was nice and all, but they could care less. They'd rather have the Bears in there every year.
Yeah.
Did you ever pay for a drink in Chicago?
Not lately. No, that was a good run. Those fans, they'd love you if you play hard in Chicago, and they understand the games, and they know who plays hard and who doesn't. And if you play hard, they'll love you, and if you play hard and win, they'll love you forever. And it's been 37 years, and they're still talking about us.
Isn't that crazy?
They still love you.
You think you will ever see in your lifetime a team of guys with that type of character and charisma? It's individuals. Y'all a great team, but everybody could have put the camera on and somebody would have took off and had a reality series or anything.
Well, that's what's crazy about that team. Even we talked about it earlier on another station. Even our kicker had a damn radio show. Kickers, are you kidding me?
Kevin Butler from Georgia.
Kevin Butler. He's not your typical kicker though. He was one of us. He had a sick mind too.
But to Slay's point though, those are a lot of really big personalities on that team, and so. It is kind of amazing to think that all of that can come together as one.
Mm-hmm. Our locker room was a lot of fun. I mean, even today when we get together, it's like you just left yesterday. The same, the old stories come up, the nicknames, and we had a blast. I mean, thank God there wasn't social media back in the day.
Can you imagine?
That would have been a lot of trouble for a lot of people, I think.
Wildest prank being pulled in that time.
What's that?
The wildest prank being pulled at that time that you can remember.
Oh boy, well, Walter was a big prankster.
Really?
Was he really?
Oh, he loved his guns. He loved his M80s. He would go out to practice 10 minutes before everybody else, but he'd leave an M80 on a piece of tape, and he'd hang it off because you have to walk right by the racquetball court to go out to the practice field. He'd hang it off the edge of that racquetball court, and when it exploded, it scared the hell out of everybody. But he was always doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Can you imagine that on social media?
Right? Nowadays.
Well, I did a poster with him in Chicago called, Chicago Vice. Because Miami Vice was big back in the day, right?
Yeah.
So I'm dressed up like, who was I? Must have been Crockett.
Crockett,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And in the background is his Pantera, I think it was, or Lamborghini, whatever car that was, and all the guns we had were his.
Hilarious.
I had an Uzi or something like that. But he opened up his trunk and you thought you were at an NRA convention.
Love it, man.
Jim McMahon on 3HL. All right, so Revenant, how did you get involved with Kyle Turley and these guys?
Well, Kyle and I have been part of the Gridiron Greats since Dick has started it.
Yeah.
And, Kyle has been in this space for quite a few years with the CBD company, and I've been trying to get in the business since I moved out here in 2010. But there's a lot of shady characters in it. You got to weed them out. Pun intended.
Pun fully intended.
And when I got the call from Kyle, I said, hey, I'd rather be hooked up with a couple ex-ball players than these people that I don't know. And the company's doing well right now. We're in 3 states, I think, right now, talking to 9 others. And we're also breaking off it's called Revenant Mission. We're getting our military guys involved, trying to get them all off their pills. And a lot of the military don't even realize that they can substitute their pills for cannabis if they live in a state that is legal. But these guys don't even know it's been written in the law. For years it's been the law, but they're all still so afraid of it because nobody's told them the truth. They've been lied to just like everybody else in America has. So the stigma's, I think, finally going away, but we still got a big hurdle to go.
You ever get to Nashville?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I used to play in the Vinny event, and
yeah. Vince Gill's the best.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy, and he had a hell of a tournament too. That was a lot of fun.
That was fun. Hey, great to see you, man. Thanks for sitting down with us.
Thanks for having me, and let's keep up the good work with this Revenant.
All right.
Get the NFL to stop testing, period.
There you go. Jim McMahon on 3HF.